Hey, this is Sean at Sports Talk Bears. If you get a second, like and subscribe. It helps out a ton. So, I'm running through a scenario to see where the Bears might go to give this wide receiver room a facelift and also to see who would potentially land with us. PFF's cap expert, Brad Spielberger, he has a suggestion for us, and it really makes sense. I agree this would be a great fit. Wide receiver Curtis Samuel, him coming to the Bears, it might be exactly what we need. And I also want to discuss a huge trade scenario that is in the works. It is being covered by all the major outlets, so it's definitely a possibility. The problem here, there aren't any definites right now. We can discuss this, but we can't fully predict what we're going to do in the draft or even who our quarterback is going to be. But for the sake of this show, let's assume something. Let's assume we are doing something that we've been linked with. Like I said, we have to have a hypothetical baseline. A trade of our first rounder to the New England Patriots. A potential haul from that, we get their number 3 and number 34. That's an early second round. And we also get their 2025 first round and third round picks. This might be a bit heavy. I get it. This might be a lot for them to move up just a couple spots. The actual compensation is debatable, but I think at the very least, their first and second this year, that's the minimum. It's a reasonable assumption plus a pick from next year. We can discuss that all we want, but let's just stay with the baseline that we're going to trade this pick to New England. Let's look at New England. We've got a new regime in Foxborough coming off a terrible season, and they're no longer under Belichick. So predicting what they'll do, it's a little harder than normal. The issue too, they have pretty much a zero at the quarterback position. And Gerard Mayo, he might want to make a huge move to start out his tenure in New England. I think Mayo might want to start with a cornerstone quarterback. Obviously, Caleb fits the bill, and we have the number 1 pick. So we trade the pick with, in this case, New England, and we take MHJ with our resulting pick. That's a scenario that most of us would love, right? I love it. Having Marvin Harrison Jr. on our team is a huge win. So that leads us to a wide receiver room of DJ Moore, Harrison Jr., but we need number 3. Mooney, he's seen his production drop yet again, and he's likely not going to be with us next year. He played in only 12 games in 2022. In 2023, that was a fail in the nonsense Getsy offense, but I think he lost a lot of confidence. I think he is declining as a player. Let's go to a story on beardigest.com. They are fantastic. I want to always give credit. And they illustrate that Spielberger from PFF, he has him possibly reuniting with Matt Nagy in Kansas City. That's Darnell Mooney. He possibly might go to Kansas City. Regardless, he's out of town. We can talk about Mike Evans. We can talk about T. Higgins. Even Tyler Boyd, they might be a good choice. But I want to focus on Curtis Samuel as being the perfect fit at the slot position. Let's chop this up. First, and this is obvious, he's very close with DJ Moore from their time in Carolina. He's the godfather to DJ's daughter. With the hiring of DJ Moore's college wide receivers coach, Chris Beatty, that might be catering to him a bit. He might actually have a lot of weight in the decisions at wide receiver this offseason if all things are equal. When it comes to who to sign, naturally, he might push everyone towards signing his friend Chris Samuel. He would be even a great presence in the offense, even if it were to go to Caleb Williams. Even if we draft Caleb Williams, he's an experienced and versatile player. We get rid of the story here. Okay. Spielberger, he wrote something I'd like to share. Samuel offers a skill set the Bears seemingly tried to acquire in drafting Velus. I always say his name now. Velus Jones Jr. Regardless, he can carry the ball out of the backfield and also rack up yards after the catch from the slot and wide alignments. That's what Spielberger wrote. I saw this entry on Twitter, and it's part of this Bear Digest.com story. It was on the screen. It listed him as possibly only commanding $68 million a year. I'm not so sure that's realistic. Spielberger, he had him at more like the $11 million range. And for us, I think that's a nice price. To that end as well, Pro Football Focus recently ranked their top 150 potential free agents for this upcoming season, and Samuel, he checked in at 76. Samuel was an efficient target last year in Eric Bieniemy's Washington offense. Let's look at that. They spread the ball around more than any team in the NFL. He hauled in just shy of 73% of passes thrown his way, only 4 drops. That's great. It was on 85 targets last year. And PFF also wrote Samuel was used as a ball carrier in 2023, just like he was in 2022 and previous seasons dating back to his Ohio State days. Now, there's another connection that we should point out. Notice the Ohio State connection if we're staying with Fields. That's another factor. It's not prescriptive, but it's another factor. His skill set. This guy is a Swiss Army knife that would fit in so well as our number 3. I love it. And as mentioned above, he fills the role we are trying to cover when we swung and missed on Velus Jones. There, I said it right this time. And he's still only 27, so that's another consideration. With Higgins, Evans, Ridley, they're the top free agents available. Let's look at one. Let's maybe look at Ridley as a target as well. One thing that concerns me, I'm wondering if the off-field stuff might be a turnoff for Poles. He's already been stung by players like Chase Claypool. Sorry to bring that up, but it's also the prohibitive cost with Ridley and the other players available. We have a less than generous cap situation this year. We need to pick our shots. Spottrack.com, they project Ridley's free agent costs at $17 million a year. Samuel, he's projected at about $11.7 million a year, so that's a huge gap. It seems unlikely as well that the Bears, that they would invest this much at receiver, even if we have the cap space to absorb it. The Bears have other needs. I say do something different. I say draft a game-changing wide receiver, MHJ, please, and let's swing big in free agency when it comes to our offensive line. Also, with that, let's grab a free agent center. So whoever we draft, I love Powers Johnson as a choice. I did a profile on him a couple shows ago. Whoever we draft, they are going to need someone to learn under for at least the first year. Rookie centers, right? They notoriously have a tough time starting out due to the learning curve, regardless of their talent. And Lucas Patrick, he's not the answer. We also have other line needs. Cody Whitehair, he's sitting there with a massive contract hit in 2024. If we cut him, we can save a ton of money. And he's dropped down to more of a bench player in the near past. Let's just be honest about that. He's not the answer. We have so many needs. We'd be better served to spend our money in the trenches. Granted, though, it's not glamorous. It's not shiny. But that's what is needed, and we're desperately lacking. Samuel, he's a great piece that'll allow us to build up our line without messing up the cap. It's a win-win, and he'd be a great fit in this offense. Let's give him credit, though. Let's be fair. Ridley, he bounced back very well from his gambling suspension in 2022. 76 receptions, 1,016 yards, I believe, 8 touchdowns. But keep in mind, too, if you had him as a fantasy player on your team, I had him. He had a lot of games that he just disappeared in as well. He disappeared. He was a ghost. I'm not fully sold on him being worth the money due to his inconsistency. If we're going big, I'd much rather have T. Higgins, but he's also had his own injury worries as well in this last year. And on top of that, I find it very hard to believe that since he'll let him go, they'll likely hit him with the tag. So I don't even know if T. Higgins is even a reasonable or realistic person to discuss dropping down that tier to Samuel. I think it's a great move. There's also no reason to think Ridley would be an off-field problem again. I mean, I don't think he's going to be on gambling sites in the locker room. However, it's difficult to imagine the Bears being the team willing to take any chances on players who've had past character issues. Look at our own past. Look at the recent thing with Claypool. He was a head case. Besides, we've had more recent arrests with Poles as GM. I don't want to detail them, but our organization as well, we've had other off-field situations in the more distant past. I mean, we're still trying to live down things like Jeremiah Ratliff, Tank Johnson, Sam Hurd. Sorry to bring him up as well. So, as an organization, I think we're a little risk adverse when it comes to character players. And I just think Samuel's a great fit, from being a good friend and a good mix with Moore to his Ohio State connections with Justin Fields. I just think it's a great choice. And I also think that's a great draft rumor that we're linked to go ahead and make that draft trade with New England. It's just a matter of a little bit of debate as far as compensation, but I think that is a trade that is very real and it's very possible, and it's being linked with us over and over and over. So I'd be remiss not to cover it. You guys, I really appreciate all the support here. You guys are fantastic. That's what makes this so much fun. I'll talk to you guys in the comments, and hey, thanks for watching. Bear down, my friends. See ya.